Excellencies, distinguished participants, esteemed audience, welcome to the high-level side event on the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit 2021, entitled Human Security and Nutrition, addressing the double burden of malnutrition through the realization of collective impact. I'm Keiko Sano, Director General of Economic Development Department of JICA, and it's my great pleasure to be the MC today. This side event is organized by JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, with the aim of sharing the commitments of nutrition actions for low and middle income countries by global development partners, including JICA, under the concept of human security. We also wish to call for collaboration among all partners towards eliminating malnutrition in all its forms in order to build a world where the life, livelihood, and human dignity of each individuals are protected and everyone can live in dignity, free from fear and want. Today, we have honorable speakers from 5 organizations, that is in speaking order, JICA, or the NEPAD, FAO, UNICEF, and the World Bank. Now, to mark the opening, I would like to ask Dr. Kitaoka Shinichi, the President of JICA, to give us a keynote speech. The President Kitaoka, please.
I'd like to express my gratitude to Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, the CEO of AUDA NEPAD, Dr. Chu Dongyi, Director General of the FAO, Ms. Henrietta Horstman-Foer, Executive Director of UNICEF, Dr. Manta Murthy, Vice President of the World Bank Group, and Ms. Gerda Verberg, the Sun Movement Coordinator. I extend a warm welcome to all the participants to this high-level event today. The Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit 2021 is an important opportunity for a wide range of stakeholders, including governments, international organizations, and civil societies to present their nutrition commitments. In order to achieve collective impact, stakeholders should work together to implement these commitments. With this in mind, Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, organized this event with the aim to share our commitments and advance our partnership. As the first speaker, I'd like to share JICA's basic nutrition policy. JICA has long prioritized contributions to human security, a concept which means all individuals are entitled to freedom from fear and want and the right to live in dignity. We believe governments and the international community have this responsibility to support these rights. Nutrition is the basis of human life and health. Therefore, is one of the most important foundations for human security. All individuals must be able to live free from all forms of malnutrition. Currently, we have seen that the COVID-19 pandemic threatens human security, including nutrition. However, we must also look to nutrition to prevent such infections. Proper nutrition is essential for supporting human immune system. Therefore, having a balanced nutrition is extremely important to prevent and mitigate the spread of infectious diseases. For these reasons, JICA is strongly committed to the common agenda of improving nutrition. We will continue to strengthen our efforts to address the double burden of malnutrition in developing countries, while focusing on vulnerable populations, including women and children. JICA's nutrition cooperation aims to empower people, organizations, and societies of each country. We will also give attention to their characteristics and needs and value country ownership. By doing so, we will work with each country to make steadfast, autonomous, and sustainable nutrition improvements. Also, JICA will continue to take a multi-sectoral approach to improve overall nutritional situation through various sectors such as health, agriculture, and food, water, sanitation and hygiene, and education. Furthermore, JICA will leverage its various assistance tools, including training programs and scholarships for postgraduate studies in Japan, dispatching experts and volunteers, and extending ODA loans and grant aid. We will also collaborate with diverse associates, including Japanese private companies that have technologies and expertise related to nutrition. The most distinctive feature of our approach, however, is its development cooperation based on Japan's own experiences. Since Meiji era, Japan has worked diligently to overcome food shortage and eliminate undernutrition. When World War II was over, Japan experienced a terrible economic and societal damage. Nonetheless, Japan has overcome the damage and is now the world's leading developed country in life expectancy and low obesity rates. By implementing a wide range of initiatives across various sectors, Japan succeeded in achieving these results. For example, in the health sector, Japan has been conducting the National Health and Nutrition Surveys and nutritional guidance activities. In the agriculture and food sector, Japan improved rural livelihoods, diversified agricultural production, and promoted balanced diets. In the water sanitation and hygiene sector, Japan enhanced national water access and improved people's hand washing habits. And in the education sector, Japan has introduced food and nutrition education, or shokuiku. JICA implements its development cooperation by sharing such Japanese best practices. For example, JICA has introduced the Maternal and Child Health Handbook, which is originated in Japan, to partner countries with its customization according to the country's context. The handbook enables women who are pregnant or recently gave birth to continuously record health conditions of their child and their own. The handbook includes sections to record the nutrition status of mother throughout their pregnancy and weaning period, which help health workers provide mothers with important nutritional guidance. JICA has also contributed to introducing school lunches in Africa through its School for All projects, by which teachers, parents, and local communities collaborate for better educational environment. Beginning as a series of local initiatives, Japan's school lunches eventually expanded into a national program prior to World War II with government support. The program then resumed in the post-war period with international assistance. Since then, the program has continued to evolve for the betterment of children's diets. Starting this month, JICA will also help introduce the current Japanese-style school lunch program in Asia. Naturally, JICA's activities alone will not be able to improve global nutritional status. Therefore, we also work closely with international partners across a range of initiatives. To tackle malnutrition in Africa, in 2016, AUDA, NEPAD, and JICA jointly launched the Initiative for Food and Nutrition Security in Africa, or IFNA. We have also worked with the FAO and other relevant UN agencies on many initiatives, including Coalition for African Rice Development, or CARD. These initiatives support the development of sustainable food systems, which was highlighted at the UN Food Systems Summit. Additionally, UNICEF and JICA have collaborated at the field level on shared priorities, including enhancing maternal and child nutrition. We also communicate regularly with the World Bank to promote investments in human capital, which are essential to securing human security. Finally, many countries that we are working with, as well as their development partners, belong to SUN networks. Given the many partnership opportunities at this summit, we look forward to working with your organizations to strengthen international collaborations. The best ideas of JICA's nutrition policy, which I just explained, are summarized in the 10 points JICA Nutrition Declaration. This set of ideas will be one of the pillars of Japanese government's commitment to be provided at this summit. Based on this declaration, JICA will further promote its efforts and strengthen partnership among various stakeholders, including the participants here today, in order to realize our shared goal of nutrition for all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, the President Kitaoka. The full text of JICA Nutrition Declaration is now available on JICA website at the N4G special page. Then I'm honored to invite Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, the Chief Executive Officer of the Africa Union Development Agency, New Partnership for Africa's Development. Dr. Mayaki, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Sano, for introducing me, and thank you, Dr. Kitaoka, for delivering your speech, particularly on JICA's strong determination. JICA Nutrition Declaration, Nutrition for All, the 10-point commitment to realize human security towards global nutrition improvement with a notion of human security. Dr. Ku Dong-yu, Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Dr. Arietta Fore, Executive Director of United Nations Children's Fund, Dr. Mamta Murthy, Vice President for Human Development at the World Bank, and my dear sister, Ms. Gerda Verberg, Coordinator of the Scaling Up Nutrition Movement and Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that today we celebrate the Tokyo for Nutrition for Growth Summit, high-level side event, hosted by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. This is the most critical event to share the commitments of nutrition actions by governments and development partners, and to call for the strengthened cooperation by all stakeholders towards the elimination of malnutrition in all its forms. Today's high-level event is dedicated to human security and nutrition by addressing the double burden of malnutrition through the realization of collective impact. Let me inform you that this is very timely and reminds me of the year 2014, when the theme of the African Year of Agriculture and Food Security was focused on transforming Africa's agriculture for shared prosperity and improved livelihoods through harnessing opportunities for inclusive growth and sustainable development, and underscoring the Declaration on Nutrition Security for inclusive economic growth and sustainable development in Africa. Although African governments have made significant efforts towards the attainment of the SDGs, Africa is unlikely to meet the targets, like other continents, partly due to the pervasive effects of hunger and malnutrition. As indicated by the Global Nutrition Report of 2021, 150 million children under 5 years of age are stunted, 46 million are wasted, and 39 million are overweight. Over 40% of all men and women, 2.2 billion people, are now overweight or obese. However, there are over few countries showing positive progress, especially countries that we are able to monitor through the biennial review report of Malabo Declaration, which provides the direction for Africa's agricultural transformation for the period 2015-2025 within our framework of the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program. The tracking, monitoring, and reporting on implementation progress toward achieving the goals and targets stipulated in the Malabo Declaration through the Africa Agricultural Transformation Scorecard is an important mechanism to ensure that there is political will backed by appropriate actions. AUDA NEPAD is making great strides in strengthening homegrown school feeding program in Africa since 2003. I'm very delighted today to share some of the great milestones and impactful actions on the ground on homegrown school feeding through one, building capacity of school feeding implementers in African member states, such as cooks and caterers, by training them on the use of a school meal planner tool for improved, safe, and quality of school meals. For instance, the inclusion of food safety education along the value chain from farmers to the school. Secondly, designing and implementing comprehensive school feeding policies for sustainable, healthy school means to meet the daily recommended dietary intake of every school child in countries such as Ghana, for example. And three, the development of the homegrown school feeding guidelines in collaboration with the World Food Programme in order to enhance the nutrition-sensitive interventions with the communities of smallholder farmers. Moreover, we do call for partners such as JICA and FAO to support the implementation of the guidelines from 2022 onwards. The school feeding program is one of the best social protection interventions that protects the vulnerable communities to at least have one meal a day. But these efforts can only be sustained if we work together in a coherent and cohesive manner. I do also recognize the challenges that countries encountered during the surge of COVID-19, which forced many schools to close and disrupted the school feeding systems. It is now gratifying that the Global School Feeding Coalition for Nutrition, Health and Education for Every Child, of which AUDA NEPAD is committed to, and has mobilized African member states to sign the commitments to restore school feeding amidst COVID-19. This work was made possible by the multi-sectoral partnerships led by the World Food Programme and the European Union countries across the globe to mobilize resources and build capacity to amplify school feeding. To date, we have more than 55 partners that have signed the declaration, including African governments. In the spirit of partnership, the Initiative for Food and Nutrition Security in Africa, IFNA, of which I am very proud, was jointly launched by AUDA NEPAD and JICA at the margins of the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD 6, in Nairobi, Kenya, to accelerate the implementation of the Malabo Declaration and the Sustainable Development Goals. We are proud to announce that the success of IFNA is shown and demonstrated in at least 10 countries: Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Madagascar, Malawi, Mozambique, Nigeria, Senegal, Sudan. And currently 3 countries, Madagascar, Mozambique, and Ghana, 3 countries are implementing the IFNA country strategy for action, supported by JICA and other partners. IFNA has also developed capacity building tools such as nutrient-focused approach, NFA, which aims to strengthen and improve the skills and knowledge of government technical officers in addressing dietary diversity issues for improved nutrition. IFNA, supported by AUDA NEPAD, has developed IFNA's commitments towards the Nutrition for Growth Summit 2021 by stressing out the financing issue for nutrition within Africa. We should be very grateful to the government of Japan to convene this special global summit to recommit to nutrition and fight malnutrition in all its forms, despite the global COVID-19 pandemic challenges. The Tokyo Compact for Nutrition, which shows status on nutrition and guidelines for future actions, is a critical way of reinforcing more investments for nutrition. This will build on other global relevant nutrition commitments on nutrition, such as the United Nations Decade of Action on Nutrition 2016-2025, which also encourages governments to implement the global commitments made at the second International Conference on Nutrition in 2014. Lastly, 2 months ago, the United Nations Food System Summit was held in New York, and many heads of states made commitments for nutrition and food systems in a very remarkable way. Most importantly, the African Common Position for Food Systems, led by AUDA NEPAD, provided a synthesis of member states' expressed views, perspectives, and priorities, as well as ambitions on key issues shaping Africa's nutrition and food systems. Madam Chair, Excellencies, when it comes to food and nutrition security in Africa, AUDA NEPAD has a significant foothold in the eradication of malnutrition in all its forms. And African leaders are responding to the call for the necessary change to happen. A multi-sectoral, multi-level, and multi-partner approach will be required for effective impact. Let me give you a practical example. In 2018, I endorsed the 7 Dakar principles on multi-sectoral coordination for effective delivery on nutrition as a guide for countries at the first IFNA regional workshop organized in collaboration with JICA in Dakar, Senegal. And AUDA NEPAD is implementing through the regional economic communities and the respective member states this approach. Evidently, the political environment should be also conducive for reducing malnutrition, and not forgetting that malnutrition cannot be addressed in isolation. Policies and practices in the many sectors that intersect with nutrition should address it. Before I conclude, let me reiterate that high impact targeted nutrition interventions must reach the people that need them. Obviously, we need sustainable resources, and we encourage African countries to mobilize domestic resources for these objectives, including human capacity, because the gap between delivery and needs is large. Africa is committed to bridge this gap by looking forward to a declaration of 2022 as the African Union Year of Nutrition and Food Systems. With these remarks, I extend my appreciation once again to the government of Japan and the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit organizers for this extremely important side event. I thank you all for your attention and wish you very fruitful deliberation. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you.
Thank Thank you very much, Dr. Mayaki. And now, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Chu Dong-Yui, the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations, as the next speaker. So Dr. Chu, please.
Good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I really appreciate the organizer of JECA to bring us together for this kind of very important set event in Tokyo Nutrition Summit, especially focus on the issues on Africa. FAO is committed to support the advancement of nutrition in Africa. According to the State of Food Insecurity Sofia 2021 report, nearly 60% of the population of Africa, about 800 million people, were affected by the moderate or severe food insecurity in 2020. And 26% faced severe food insecurity. Around 1 billion people in Africa were unable to afford healthy food in 2019. And this is growing evidence that the COVID-19 has put the health diets even further out of reach. Today's event is therefore extremely timely to strengthen partnership and enhance the smart commitment made in the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit. Agri-food systems are the world's largest economic systems in terms of employment, livelihood, and planetary impact. Worldwide, 1 billion population are directly employed in the production, harvesting, processing, and distribution service across agri-food systems, while another 3.5 billion earn their livelihood from them. For this reason, transformation of more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable agri-food systems can play a major role in eradicating poverty, especially rural poverty. Hunger has increased both in rural areas and in the cities, with 80% of the world poorest. That is 600 million people living in the rural areas and working in the agri-food sector, yet are the ones going to bed hungry. Almost half of them are children under the age of 15, with fewer opportunities for education and jobs in rural areas than those of their peers in urban areas. In the context of increased urbanization, there is the opportunity to leverage urban demand for food to improve the rural, urban, and the territorial linkages, while at the same time addressing urban food insecurity, all forms of malnutrition and social inequalities. FAO's consolidated partnership with JECA and collaboration with the various stakeholders represented on this panel are opportunities to discuss innovative perspectives, which demonstrate how our agri-food system can contribute to the better production, better nutrition, a better environment, a better life for all, leaving no one behind. Dear colleagues, FAO played a key role in setting up the Initiative for Food and Nutrition in Africa in 2015, which was officially launched in Nairobi in 2016 on the margin of the Tokyo International Conference on Africa Development, TICA. As one of the initiative's steering committee members, FAO has been providing input on the nutrition and agri-food systems approach for effective and tangible actions on the ground. FAO has also been involved in the ongoing advocacy dialogues in the regional economic communities in Africa. Furthermore, experts from FAO and from the Initiative for Food and Nutrition in Africa have joined global coalitions resulting from the process of UN Food System Summit, such as the Global School Meals Coalition, to accelerate action on nutrition and access to the affordable health diets. It will also provide support through the framework of a UN Decade of Action in Nutrition. And will continue supporting all stakeholders accelerate impactful nutrition policy and action through the 5 action areas related to data, evidence, policy, coherence, capacity strengthening, and governance. If we fully recognize the need to continue supporting the strengthening of the capacity where it is most needed for the focused and scaled up actions in Africa and beyond. In particularly for the continent to meet the nutrition target set out in the Malabo Declaration by 2025, reaching the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, and achieving that Africa Agenda 2063. FAO looks forward to continue and strengthening collaboration with all the partners and the stakeholders, including academia, private sector, civil society, for innovative approaches to change our business models and to make it fit for the purpose. Let us work together in an efficient, effective, and coherent manner for a world free from hunger. I thank you. Hajimasu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chu. Now, 2 speakers will give us video messages. First is from Ms. Henrietta Fore, the Executive Director of the United Nations Children's Fund.
Excellencies, delegates, colleagues, and friends, thank you to Dr. Kitaoka and JICA for convening this important event on the day of the launch of the Nutrition for Growth Summit. Japan and UNICEF have a long history together. It began in 1949, after the war, when we distributed milk powder in schools to help feed malnourished Japanese children. Now in 2021, our partnership on nutrition has come full circle, with Japan hosting the Nutrition for Growth Summit. Japan has become one of UNICEF's most essential partners and supporters, and we also have a history of close partnership with JICA that we are committed to expand to deliver for children. This summit provides a historic opportunity to transform how we tackle the global challenge of malnutrition. It can and must mobilize groundbreaking commitments from governments, UN agencies, donors, civil society, and the private sector. Nutrition has been a core component of UNICEF's work since our inception. We envision a world where all children, adolescents, and women realize their right to nutrition with access to nutritious diets, essential nutrition services, and positive nutrition practices. Historic progress has been made on child nutrition. The prevalence of stunting, for example, has declined by 1/3 since the year 2000. The number of children who are exclusively breastfed is 80 million higher today than it was 21 years ago. Yet more work needs to be done. Progress on child wasting has been slow, and the number of children who are overweight is increasing. Meanwhile, climate change, humanitarian crises, urbanization, and the COVID-19 pandemic threaten to reverse some of the nutrition gains for children that have been made in recent decades. And that is why UNICEF's new 10-year nutrition strategy aims to protect and consolidate these gains, while also accelerating progress towards achieving the SDG nutrition targets. We are focusing first on the prevention of malnutrition in all its forms and in all contexts, and then on the treatment where prevention fails. Core to achieving this vision are efforts to improve the diets of children in early childhood and through adolescence. Across the globe, millions of families are struggling to provide their children with nutritious food to support their growth and development. The challenges they face are wide-ranging. Parents living in poverty cannot afford quality food. Those living in hard-to-reach communities or areas affected by conflict or climate change may not have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. At the same time, many markets are flooded with processed foods that are frequently high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat, and low in essential nutrients and fiber. So UNICEF will work with governments and partners to improve the quality of children's foods and diets through actions such as large-scale food fortification and access to therapeutic foods. We will also strive to improve the quality of children's food environments in places where children live, learn, eat, and meet through actions such as food labeling that is clear and easy to understand, and putting an end to the marketing of unhealthy foods to children. In addition, UNICEF and our partners aim to improve the quality of children's food practices through public information and education that promote positive individual behaviors, caregivers' practices, and social norms, so parents can make the best decisions for their children. As Executive Director of UNICEF, I want to emphasize my commitment and the commitment of UNICEF to ensure the right to nutrition for every child and young person everywhere. UNICEF is proud to be a part of this vital summit and grateful to Japan for its leadership to help children around the world. We are grateful for the efforts of JICA, and we stand ready to work with all of you to give millions more children the best start in life. You can count on UNICEF, and we look forward to continued collaboration with our key partners like JICA to help us achieve this vision. Arigato.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ford. Next is from Dr. Mamata Murthy, the Vice President for Human Development at the World Bank Group.
Dear President Kitaoka, colleagues from the Government of Japan and development partners, I'm delighted to join you today to share our thoughts from the World Bank Group at this high-level side event on the Tokyo N4G Summit 2021, focusing on human security and nutrition. This discussion is very timely. We all know that good nutrition is critical for the human body to grow strong and healthy, for human capital to develop, and eventually for driving productivity and national economies. And much of this is related to the food that the world eats, the food that's offered and marketed to consumers, as well as healthcare through efforts such as universal health coverage. Indeed, before the pandemic hit, we had made some progress on nutrition over the past decade. But even then, we still had 150 million stunted children across the world. And at the same time, we had seen increases in obesity across developed and developing countries. In fact, 70% of people suffering from obesity live in developing countries. Both undernourishment and overweight have huge health and economic implications and often occur in the same countries and even in the same households. Now, because of the pandemic, we anticipate that an additional 13 million children will become acutely malnourished or wasted, and another 3.6 million children will become stunted by the end of 2022. While this is bad news, we do know that this is a crisis we can tackle because potential solutions exist. Indeed, we have seen rapid progress prior to the pandemic in countries like Rwanda, where improvements have been made in addressing undernutrition. From other parts of the world, we have seen progress in countries such as Bangladesh and Cote d'Ivoire. What all of this has taught us is that with government leadership and the right support, change can happen and happen quickly with tangible impacts. What is critically important is more and better financing, which needs to be a part of an ambitious Nutrition for Growth agenda. Addressing this crisis at its roots needs all hands on deck. We need partnerships between global and country-level authorities, between governments and donors, between public and private sectors, and between food-producing companies and communities. On our side, as the World Bank Group, we have been trying to do our bit. The World Bank's IDA and IBRD investments in nutrition have grown significantly over the past decade. New policy commitments for human capital and food security are planned under IDA 20, which, as you all know, is our fund for the poorest countries and is undergoing replenishment. We are delighted to hear that JICA will play an even stronger role in this field, bringing to bear its technical and financial support. We value this partnership with Japan, both the public sector and the private sector. On the public sector side, the government of Japan is a key partner through knowledge and advocacy, through financial resources, including for IDA and the GFF, and through global convening, such as the N4G Summit. We have also partnered with the private sector in Japan, which has bought $150 million of IBRD nutrition bonds. This is the sort of partnership that not only brings resources into the development agenda, but also incentivizes the private sector to get more engaged on this critical development issue. In conclusion, let me say that nutrition is fundamental to building human capital, driving economic and private sector productivity, and achieving human security. I would really like to thank the government of Japan and JICA for being steadfast and trusted partners on this agenda. We at the World Bank Group look forward to continuing our collaboration on this critical challenge as we engage through IBRD, through IFC, as well as through IDA 20 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mamuta. Then we will move on the discussion session. Please let me invite Ms. Helda Felberg, the coordinator of the Scaling Up Nutrition Movement, as the moderator for the next session. Helda-san, over to you.
Thank you very much. Good day, everyone. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I'm extremely happy in this event because we get high-level commitments here on nutrition, which is, as was said by Dr. Kitaoka, nutrition is the basis of human life and health. And that is the truth. However, we have seen since the COVID crisis started, how much people have suffered from a lack to access to the right foods and nutrition services. But now we are in the N4G. There is a new nutrition, JICA Nutrition Declaration. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this JICA declaration. It is clear with 10 principles, 10 clear commitments. And there is also a Japanese N4G Global Compact. So the commitments that will be made need to be implemented and will be measured. Now, this part of this high-level side event is about the how. And I would like to invite the three panelists, Dr. Kitaoka, Dr. Mayaki, and Dr. Kyu Dong-yu, to answer some questions on the how. But first, Dr. Kitaoka, how do you envisage building on the rich experience, but also building on your declaration, how to make also in other countries each sector nutrition sensitive? This is one of the topics I would like you to respond to, and how to make sure that women and children are prioritized when it comes to nutrition first. Over to you, Dr. Kitaoka.
Very important question. Yeah, I think that to achieve the global nutrition agenda, it is important that not all partner organizations conduct the same activities, but rather they focus their activities on where they have comparative advantage. Recognizing each other's strengths and coordinating activities accordingly to optimize impact will help bring about the best outcomes. This approach to partnership can also accelerate innovation. For example, in Ghana, JICA has used its expertise in maternal and child health handbooks to partner with UNICEF, who was very skilled in using digital technology to work together to digitize these handbooks. To be able to establish these types of partnerships, the first step must be for organizations to share information and their knowledge with each other. This is the basis for collaboration and for the foundation of trust. Effective use of international platforms for collaboration and information sharing is also vital. For example, IFNA can serve as a useful collaborative platform in Africa for various international partners, including JICA, NEPAD, FAO, UNICEF, and the World Bank, who already serve as members of its steering committee. At the global level, the SUN movement can serve as the central convening power on nutrition initiatives and activities. As a member of the SUN lead group, I myself will oversee efforts to ensure JICA further promotes information sharing on its nutrition activities. JICA will share its current nutrition policy with all relevant partners with the support of its JICA's Ogata Research Institute. It will also analyze and share Japan's own experiences improving nutrition, as well as JICA's best practices over its many years of delivering international cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kitaoka, and also for emphasizing the collaboration that is needed at all levels, both at country level, but also at global level, and the role that IFNA can play there, and the role that the SUN movement can play there, and the role that you, as a member of our SUN movement lead group, will play there as well. Thank you so much. We go to Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki. Dr. Mayaki, you have elaborated a little bit on the Malabo Declaration on agriculture and food security. And one of your conclusions was it requires not only political commitment, but also political action and capability development, capacity development at country level. Are you able to bring the compact, the N4G compact, the outcomes of N4G, which we are all expecting to be very high in commitment making, but also the food systems outcomes results together in political commitment and political action, including through capability or capacity building. Over to you, Dr. Mayaki.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Gerber. There are 3 points which I would like to highlight. The first one is that in the African continent, the conducive environment is being constructed in a progressive manner, but in a very clear manner. But the efficiency or the level of usefulness of this conducive political environment needs to be marked by accountability. Accountability is really a key dimension. And this is why we have, as you know, the Africa Agricultural Transformation Scorecard, which allows us to highlight what are the progresses being made and what are the obstacles that are being faced. And we have within AUDA-NEPAD our own AUDA-NEPAD nutrition scorecard. And when we move into the implementation of the Malabo Declaration, and let me just mention very quickly that the Malabo Declaration, which can be considered as CADEP Phase 2, had an important paradigm change because it introduced nutrition. So we are no longer looking at food security, but food and nutrition security. And this declaration adopted by the heads of states demonstrated the will to enhance the objectives of nutrition in terms of policies, in terms of action. So the accountability mechanism we have do help reflect how well is that political will working. But secondly, it also helps in terms of benchmarking in the positive sense of a word, because countries can compare to each other, not only for blaming and shaming, but also for learning lessons from each other. So accountability has also that dimension, which I think is important. The second point I would like to highlight is that we have talked a lot during many years about multisectorality and how multisectoral nutrition is, but we have unpacked the concept. And I was referring to this IFNA workshop, regional workshop with AUDA-NEPAD in Dakar, with the 7 principles of multisectorality, how to make multisectorality implementable. So there were issues of structural issues, nutrition organizations within the public space, public administration space should be at the highest level, process issues in terms of joint planning and implementation, territorial issues, how to deliberately target geographic zones and populations in need, resource issues, adequate resources need to be allocated. And I always emphasize, let us start by domestic resources. Synchronization of actions, because the actions need to be planned to occur at the same place, same time, with a common goal. The legal framework, evidently, and the feedback based on evidence is important. So when the conducive political environment exists, when the multisectorality is looked at in an implementable way, and partnerships are present, then we have a coherent strategy in order to tackle the challenges of malnutrition. So this is what I would like to say, Ms. Gerda Berber.
Thank you very much. One short second question. We know that 2022 will be the African Year of Nutrition. How can this further catalyze the scaling up of nutrition and fighting all forms of malnutrition in Africa?
I think there is a momentum which is extremely important. The outcomes of a Food System Summit placed a high level of importance towards the issues of nutrition. Now we have the summit, Nutrition for Growth, which is really extremely important, and out of which will come, as you were mentioning, the compact declarations, but very concrete. And on the African side, the African Union side, we have this year dedicated to nutrition. So I think that the momentum is there. 2, the tools do exist. 3, the political will is there. 4, the partnerships are enhanced, and we can see it during this conference. So it is this momentum has to be taken advantage of in a very accelerated way. And I put the emphasis on the concept of acceleration. you see, because we can't forget that the consequences of the pandemic has hurt the most vulnerable. And we know how malnutrition is hurting the most vulnerable. So the negative impact has been important. So we cannot do business as usual. We need to accelerate. And we have a momentum which can allow us to accelerate. And the compact evidently will be extremely important for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mayaki. Let us move on to Dr. Q Dong-Yu, Director General of FAO. Dr. Dong-Yu, how will you accelerate partnership and nutrition impact in the years to come? Over to you.
Thank you, Hilda. It's a very big question. From point of view, FAO as an intergovernmental UN agency, when I come office, we started hand-in-hand initiative. So we should get all the relevant partners to work together. Government, private sector, NGO, academia, of course, the international organization and especially UN sister agencies work together like FAO, WFP, UNICEF, and also SAN. You are represented here. And of course, second, we have to strengthen the collaboration at the regional and the country level. And we need to strengthen the walk the talk, not only talk, yeah, and the wording. And especially we are from East Asia, Japanese, Chinese, we're not good at talking. So I appreciate that the Japanese government use this Nutrition for Growth, offer the concrete action plan and focus on the points. Third, I think we need the enabling policy to focusing on the specific issues and also focus on specific area. Like this time we are focused on Africa. And last but not least, I think impact should be by the examples, by the leading examples, and which have come from the more concrete, tangible, deliverable results, like a school meal program. FAO, we fully support that. Also, locally produced use as opportunity for the local farmers and local community. They can really as a driving force for local development. Otherwise, you know, let's remind me, you know, when I was a vice governor in poorest province in China 40 years ago in Ningxia, a Japanese friend knows that it was very poor. And we start also school meal. And that helps local farmers offer the quality raw materials and also follow the international standard and the national standard, of course. And that's really upgraded their production. Last but not least, we need more donors from developed nations because still a lot of OECD countries didn't reach the 0.7% of GNP to support the developing nations, especially for vulnerable countries. So that's our sharing the community and the future together. And that's, I think it's in line with the theme of this human security. Yeah, and that's, I'm going to have another meeting at 10, so I have 1 minute. So.
Yeah. No, I will take this.
All the best.
Thank you very much for your contribution and the contribution of Dr. Kitaoka and Dr. Mayaki. Distinguished delegates, we can continue this conversation for another half hour because this is the most interesting one, how to collaborate from a country perspective, as was emphasized, how to best use the global platform, how to secure complementarity, and how to build on the momentum that N4G creates. The tools are there, the political will is there, the partnerships are there, and how to accelerate the implementation right now, and how to measure it, because that was emphasized by Dong-Yu, impact, and it needs to be measured, also mentioned by Dr. Mayaki. And to do this, it is also crucial to have domestic resources and start with this because this is also ownership financially and when it comes to capacity, human capacity, so that countries and societies, communities can drive forward their own further scaling up. Thank you so much. And let me go back to the Master of Ceremony, but a great side event and looking forward to the rest of the summit. Back to you, Madam Master of Ceremony.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you very much, Hilda-san and the speakers.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very
now
much.
it's time to conclude. Thank you very much. And now it's time to conclude this side event. Before closing, I would like to convey my sincere apology for causing inconveniences due to network troubles at the beginning of this side event. The whole video of this event will be made available later at the same URL, so please visit the site. Finally, I wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation for all speakers and moderator for taking your precious time to join this side event. My gratitude also goes to the audience who witnessed the strong ties among the partners and their commitment for nutrition actions and achieving human security. Once again, thank you very much for joining today and see you sometime. Thank you.